Everybody, thank you for joining us today. We are joined by Petey Williams. Hello, man. How are you?
Oh, how's she going, eh? I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We are good, man. We are rocking and rolling. I've noticed the guitar behind you, so I've got to ask straight away because I know you're in the band. So before we talk wrestling, I mean, tell me about the love of music because I'm a guitarist as well. So I mean, I've got to shoot straight away. Tell me about the love of music.
I've been playing guitar for 27 years now. I know. I'm only 26, right, guys? Wink.
Wow.
No. No, 27 years. Obviously, I grew up in that era where Nirvana was around. Easy power chords to play. I mean, great way. I think everybody in my generation played the guitar because it's easy to play Nirvana songs. And I grew up obviously that Seattle sound. I don't know if you guys have the same thing over there, like the UK. You guys call it the Seattle sound or the American sound. I don't know, but yeah, definitely that. And then everything. I like all types of music, minus country. No offense to the people listening or watching that are country fans. I'm just not a big fan of country. A few songs I'll listen to, but that's just not my cup of tea. Yeah, I've been in several bands starting since I was, my first band was probably like I was 14. And then, obviously you guys know about me and the Motor City Machine Guns. We have a band. We put out an album. We also had an EP. We were called the High Crusade.
Yes.
And I play guitar for that. I've also played bass in a band. Yeah, all good stuff. I love it. And then look at that now. Now I have my own podcast, and one of my co-hosts is Lars Fredrickson from Rancid. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, right?
That is it. He was also a huge wrestling fan as well, so he's fantastic. But I'm the same as you. I mean, I'm almost 37, and I always say I picked up a guitar because of Kurt Cobain. So I'm totally with you on that. I was very much into Nirvana, Alice in Chains, that kind of style. So I'm with you 100% there, dude. I really am. But it's a beautiful guitar. I just noticed I thought I've got to start with the music.
Oh, I mean, it's a Yamaha. That's like, that's just one I fiddle around with. I got my Epiphone Gibson Les Paul one in the other room. Sometimes I bring it out here and play it and all that kind of stuff. I got another Gibson Les Paul bass. And I have my daughter. I bought her a guitar. I think that's also like a BC Rich or something like that. Yeah. So I mean, and I got my harmonica right here as well. So I mean, we're good.
We are, man. We are. That's the one thing I've got a harmonica, but I cannot play it.
I can't play it either. But I bought it. You know where this is from? Cracker Barrel, right?
Cracker Barrel.
You guys don't have Cracker Barrel.
We don't have
right?
Cracker Barrel, but I have been to one before.
We've heard of it.
Yeah.
It's Young Buck's favorite place. They do all their Being the Elite from Cracker Barrel and stuff like that. But this was blues band harmonica right here, and I still have the case. And I got this 15 years ago on one of my trips to Cracker Barrel. I might have been with the Young Bucks. I don't even remember.
Can you give us a little rendition of anything? Can you give us a little blast?
No, I can't. I can't play. I don't even know.
I don't know if that's good or bad harmonica playing. It all sounds.
I don't know either.
That's better than I could do anyway. I got mine off eBay. It cost me £2 off eBay. So it's just in my drawer. I can't play it, but I love the sound of the harmonica. So I thought I'm going to buy one. I'll maybe learn it one day. We'll see. But we've got to talk wrestling as well, obviously, because we're massive fans. I mean, when I said to Callum, you were coming on the show, his little face.
Honestly, we do a lot of interviews, but there's a few interviews ever so often where it's like I'm a huge fan of the person and I've got to try and not mark out. So I'm trying to keep it level-headed right now. But I've been a huge Petey Williams fan for as long as I can remember. So it's awesome to get you on the show today and get the chance to pick your brains a bit about wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me. I mean, I appreciate that. I'm very down to earth. I appreciate every person that says, "Hey, I'm a fan of yours" and stuff like that. I really do appreciate it. I try to respond to a lot of things. I don't do a lot of podcast interviews. I get a lot of requests. I have to feel in the mood and stuff like that. And of course, I do it if I'm trying to plug something from my, of myself. So
well, that's the beauty of it. If you've got anything to plug, you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, are we doing that now or are we doing that later?
You plug whenever you want to plug.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously, I got the Wrestling Perspective podcast. It was with myself and Dennis Farrell. For a few years, I took 2020 off. Obviously, I did a little hiatus. Wasn't on the Wrestling Perspective podcast. Just because 2020 sucked. I mean, I didn't even want anything to do with 2020. Now 2021, we're back on it. We have an awesome group of guys. Myself, Dennis Farrell. We got Jason Kendall from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Retired from Pittsburgh Pirates, Hall of Famer. Dimitri Young, formerly of the Detroit Tigers. We got 4-time Stanley Cup winner Darren McCarty from the Detroit Red Wings. And then Lars Fredrickson from the band Rancid. So, I mean, and it's going great. We just had Tommy Dreamer on last night. That's going to be airing, I don't know, whenever Dennis is the mastermind. So he'll put it out and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, that's what we got going on right now. And we just started a couple weeks ago, our YouTube channel. So for those that want to subscribe to that'd be awesome. Greatly appreciated. And that's the Wrestling Perspective podcast. You can find us on there.
Well, I've got to ask, before we mention wrestling, you mentioned the Detroit Red Wings. I'm a huge hockey fan. Are you a hockey fan, Petey?
Yes, I am. And I'm hoping Darren doesn't watch this. Obviously Darren McCarty, he was 4 Stanley Cups. He was like the enforcer on his team. He could beat up anybody pretty much.
Yeah.
And I never had the heart to tell him I'm not a Detroit Red Wings fan because I'm a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan.
Ooh.
So I know. But I'm Canadian, but he's Canadian too. But he played for the Wings for so long. So it's just how I grew up, man.
I'm from the UK, but I'm a huge Canucks fan.
Yeah, so I like the Canucks too. It sucks when they made it to the finals that one year and they didn't get it. It just seems like being Canadian, whenever it comes down to a Canadian team, an American team in the Stanley Cup Finals, I'm always cheering for the Canadian team. Always, just because there's so few of them. I think there's under 10 of them, I believe, or something like that in the league. So, and I know they rearranged the league this year because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, and they're keeping all the Canadian teams somewhat, they don't have to travel across the border and all that. I don't know how it's going to look. It's pretty creative to me, though.
It's a it's a weird year for any sport, really. Like, I guess we'll get back into wrestling with it, but hockey, massively affected by it. Wrestling, hugely affected by it as well, just by how it's presented. I was only saying the other day, I can't remember when it almost seems like there's been no fans in attendance for years now. It's almost become commonplace for it to be like it is now. For you watching as a fan, how do you think wrestling has adapted to COVID and the pandemic?
I think they did the best they could. Wrestling's built based on fans. We're putting on entertainment since the beginning of wrestling time. Before TV shows and stuff, there was just live venue shows, territories and all that kind of stuff. So it's based around fans and being fans in the attendance and the emotions of the fans and being invested in the matches and the stories you're telling, all that stuff. And then now you just took it away. Well, I mean, you didn't. I'm not.
Yeah, me personally.
It is all your fault. I know that, Callum. It's all your fault. You took the wrestling fans away. And I think at the best we could. All companies are doing a little bit different. I know Impact, just being down there for our last pay-per-view, Hard to Kill. Obviously, I wasn't on screen. I do a lot of backstage stuff now, and they actually had piped in the crowd noise, and it makes a difference. And I'm sure if you watched Impact this past Tuesday, the piped in crowd noise does make a difference. Just so you know, I'll throw out a little bit of like movie magic right now. When we're in the soundstage studio and we're filming that, the wrestlers in the ring cannot hear the crowd noise. That's done even during the pay-per-view. Right. The wrestlers can't hear it. So They're doing a phenomenal job wrestling in front of complete silence, and then the producer himself piping in the crowd noise when certain things happen. It's actually there's pros and cons to this COVID. It sucks that the fans or the wrestlers have to go out there and perform with no fans. It sucks for the fans that they don't get to watch live wrestling. It's good though, because now when we tape so many shows in advance, we're not really there's not a lot of internet leaks. We could be. It's kind of like before there was the internet and there was surprises and stuff. People were surprised when they watched it on TV. Now you get to be surprised again, unless there's an internal leak, which I don't think we have any. And I'm not going to be the guy that says what happens next, even though I know what happens. But yeah, I mean, I would say one of the only good parts about COVID is that now we can actually book things to surprise the fans. We don't have to worry about the stuff getting out with fans in attendance. It's great. And we could film long days too. We don't have to worry about, okay, the fans are already been here for 3 hours, we're losing them, we have to rush. It's like, no, okay. I mean, we got all day, and obviously we have to get work and get it all done and stuff, but it's we could film for 7 hours straight if we wanted to. We don't have to wait till 7 o'clock at night to start filming with a crowd and everything. So production wise, it's good. It does suck though. Like, I mean, if I had to choose one or the other, it would definitely be, fans in the audience. I don't care if they, go on the internet and say everything that happened and ruin the surprises. It's so much better. That's one of the reasons why I got into wrestling, is because the live crowd wrestling in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It adds so much to it, and I think I've seen some people online saying the wish companies weren't piping in sound noise, but I'll take piped in sound noise any day. I don't care if it's piped in. I need to hear some kind of reaction to what's being done. Like, that's why I respect the wrestlers so much. Like you said, wrestling without the crowd there, in complete silence, that must be such a challenge to do.
Well, I haven't wrestled in front of no crowd yet. My last wrestling match was I actually did it last February in 2020. It didn't air till I think the beginning of March. It was against Moose, and that's when we're doing the road to that WrestleMania weekend where we had the old school TNA that never ended up happening. I was really excited for that, and that got canceled. But that's the last time I actually wrestled in the ring. So I never did the no fans wrestling yet. I know it would be super weird. However, I've wrestled in front of like 5 people before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we all have to start somewhere. But yeah, it's I have to give credit to the talent, to the wrestlers, to go out there and do it. And it is tough. I've talked to some of them, and they're like, well, I don't really know after I do something. Usually I see how the crowd reacts before I move on to the next thing. So now it's like your timing is off. But we're such professionals. We'd kind of be like, okay, that's how the fans would react if had I done that.
Yeah.
So this is how long I should wait before I do this. It adds another. It's like a chess game now. It adds another aspect to being a professional wrestler.
Because the fans are when people are watching now, when you don't have the crowd noise, everyone's just laser focused on what's happening in the ring. So it's almost like you're under a magnifying glass when you're wrestling now. A few people I've spoken to have said they really enjoy that challenge. They've had to change the game up a little bit. A few people have said they've struggled with it, but I think everyone's, like you said, doing the best they can right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is a challenge for the wrestlers. I know they enjoy it, but it actually does put a bigger emphasis on the commentators.
Yeah.
They can't, a lot of the times when something's happening in wrestling, the commentators might not talk so that the fans or the audience, I'm sorry, that the people watching at home can hear what the audience is doing.
Yeah.
Well, now the commentators, they have to tell the story rather than say and spell it out for. It's a lot different. So you needed commentators that are on point, because if they don't tell the story properly, the people at home might not know how to react.
Well, yeah. I wanted to move in aside a bit as well. You mentioned working backstage of Impact. For me, I've been saying for a long time, I think Impact put on the best product out there at the moment. What's it like, obviously, now working with Scott D'Amore and Don Callis? How much of an impact have they had since coming in?
Oh, huge. I mean, obviously, Scott D'Amore, he was the one that trained me, Can-Am Wrestling School back in the day. And, I retired in 2014. I was done with wrestling. I just, moving on to different things. And in 2017, early 2017, before I came back, Scott D'Amore was very instrumental in bringing me back to the company. It was like a 6-month process, and I kept saying, no, no, no. And even before I left, or after I retired in 2014, he still wanted me to come back more and more and more. Nope, not doing it. And then I gave in, went back, and, as soon as I came back, it's like the way he pitched it to me was, hey, it's not the same company. I'm here now. Uncle Jeff Jarrett. Uncle Jeff's in charge again. I got Sanjay's helping write the show, Abyss, Jeremy Borash, all that kind of stuff. It's like it's like the old school TNA. I think you would really like it. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's see how long this goes. And then when I got back in, he knew I wanted to get into production and being an agent and all that kind of stuff, because I did it for him for his own company, Border City Wrestling, when he had his like local TV show and stuff. And he knew I had what it takes, and he gave me the ball and ran with it, and he gave me a lot of top matches to produce. And even so, like recently, I haven't worked for Impact for a year. It was my first time back at Hard to Kill, and he gave me the main event, live main event, and it was we know who it was. It was Storm, James Storm, Chris Sabin, Moose against the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega.
Yeah,
and just for him having that trust in me that I could come back after a year and be able to still produce a match like that, it speaks volumes of what he thinks of me. So, and since then, via email, he's like, okay, Petey, I want you to take on this, that, and the other thing. So I kind of just jumped right back in, and Scott has a good pulse on the wrestling world right now. Same with Don Callis, Jimmy Jacobs, one of the best creative minds in all of wrestling. He's one of the head writers as well. Even Robert, he started, I don't know, maybe a few years ago, but when I first came back, he wasn't there. But yeah, it's a good group. I really enjoy what we're doing now. All the stuff with AEW. Do I know what's coming up next? Nope. And do I want to know? Nope. I want to be surprised just like everybody else. I'm having fun doing it. And
that's it, man.
I can't wait.
Well, going back to when you were in TNA in the early days, like you said, there were some great times. You've had matches with the best in the X division. You had AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, everybody. Going back to then, I mean, you're a 2-time X division champion. How important do you feel like the X division was on today's product? Because I feel like the X division was way ahead of its time for what it was.
Yeah, if you look at all wrestling now, what is it? You go back to look at 2000, early 2000s, mid 2000s, late 2000s, like that decade right there. You're watching the X division now. Even the heavyweights, they have that X division style. It was very, very, I think, important to the wrestling that you see now. Did we kill the business? It depends what you think of it. If you think the business has been killed and stuff, okay, sure. If not, you love it, okay, great. But that's the evolution of wrestling. But yeah, very important. I'm so happy that I had a part of that and that movement. I know, like in 2017, with Sami Callihan, he came up to me and he was like, you're the first one to actually bring a video game move that was unrealistic into the mainstream. That started a revolution. Now you see all these guys doing all these video game moves that wouldn't happen in a real fight.
Yeah.
Wrestling back in the day was supposed to, replicate a real fight if it was really happening. There's not going to be any Canadian destroyers in the real world at all.
I'm glad you said I was going to ask you as well. Obviously, the Canadian Destroyer. You're the OG. You know, you created that move, and I know you mentioned in another interview where it's becoming now just another move. And I feel the same. I've always had this argument with the DDT. When Jake Roberts hit that DDT, that was it. Now it's just another move, and I feel like that's happening with the Canadian Destroyer. Is that kind of how you feel as well?
Oh yeah, that's going to happen with any wrestling move. I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I mean,
Yeah.
I started doing that move in 2003. First time was against Matt Steidel, and it took like 10 years, maybe more, for people to actually start using it and abusing it.
Yeah.
The important thing is like obvious, like Amazing Red, apparently when he was like 11 years old, came up with the move. He came up with every single wrestling move that you could possibly think of. He just has the mind like that. Unbeknownst to me, he was the one that I guess did the move. Yeah, he did all the moves. But you know what's important to remember is think about when you are having a wrestling match. Okay, I'll just kind of walk you through it. And let's say you're gonna break out this move called a diamond cutter. Okay, nobody has seen it before, and you're against your opponent, and you're like, "Hey, I have this new move that I want to try." Okay, what is it? Oh, it's called a diamond cutter. Yeah, I grab you like this, and then I fall to my back. You just have to fall on your stomach. Okay. Oh yeah, that's easy, no problem, right? You give it to anybody. Well, okay, now let's fast forward to 2003 when I say, "Hey, I got this new move I want to try," and they're like, "Oh, okay, what is it?" And it's like, "Okay, well, it's a flipping pile driver where you backflip and land on your head." Like that is like in that era.
Yeah.
When I start doing it, that's like, no. I don't trust you in that. And it's not like I could like pull up like my phone and be like, "Oh yeah, watch it here on YouTube." No, we're on those flip phones and stuff back then. Like there was no way to look at it and say, "Oh yeah, I can do that," or whatever. So just getting the move into the mainstream, getting people to trust me, that was like a feat in itself. That was so difficult. And then once it took me about like a year to 2 years for actually people to be like lining up and now volunteering instead of me assuring them that, "Oh, I'm not going to hurt you," and this is all that kind of stuff, like have their trust and confidence in me. After that time, then people were lining up being like, "I could take that move. I think I could take that move." AJ Styles in 2004, late 2004, he was saying, "Yeah, Petey, I think I could take the Destroyer. I think I could do that." And he trusted me. And so just to have that groundbreaking, putting that on the map, I think it opened the door to the way we're watching wrestling now. Now everybody does a Canadian Destroyer, and everybody's mother does a Canadian Destroyer too, and everybody's grandmother and all that kind of stuff. But just to get that in the business, that was the tough part. And so you're welcome, everybody.
I do remember the first time I saw it. This was early 2000s. It was hard to get hold of wrestling then online, like it was early YouTube or whatever. Like, and I remember the first time I saw it, I ran and got my mum from the kitchen and brought her back in and said, "Mum, you have to watch this move." And I showed her, and she was like, "That can't be real." I was like, "It's real," and it blew our minds. And it's one of those moves that every time you saw it, it was just as impressive. And how safe you made it and how people sold it just made it look $1,000,000. And I know it's done more frequently now, but I still feel like it's one of those moves that blows me away every time, regardless. So I feel like you should take a lot of credit for innovating that move and making it as popular as it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, everybody does it. That's fine. I remember when Adam Cole first did it on NXT. He did the one where he jumped down
the Panama Sunrise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or as the commentator at the time was like, "Oh my God, springboard," or whatever he said, "springboard Canadian Destroyer," and I'm like, "Yeah." Like I named that, and he probably got in trouble in the back. It's like, "Why are you calling it Canadian Destroyer?" He calls it the Panama Sunrise. I could only imagine how that conversation went. But he gave credit where credit was due, and Adam Cole. I've been on shows with him. He's never said anything to me or anything like that. Obviously he used to He's young enough there. When he was probably in high school, he watched me on TV do that move. And he's killing it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and like it's all over like WWE. Something that I was told back when I started doing it. They're like, you will never, ever, ever see that on WWE TV because the pile driver's banned apparently. Yeah. But now you got like I think Rey Mysterio did it. Adam Cole. You even had John Morrison take it from the Usos off the top rope and stuff. So. I don't know what's happening over there. You still don't see regular pile drivers.
Yeah, pile drivers banned. Safe. Yeah, but the flip pile driver, that's okay.
Yeah, and like reverse Ranas, which are I feel more dangerous than regular pile drivers. Like none of those are banned. So I mean, whatever. But you see it on every single mainstream show, every indie show, and all that kind of stuff. So. I'm good. Like, and when I retired at the time, I was like, I'm good. In 2014, I said, I brought something to the wrestling business and got it on the mainstream. And it'll be when we're all dead, me, you, like when we're all dead, the Canadian Destroyer will still be around. So I can say, oh, I left my mark on the wrestling business forever. I got that into the mainstream and, people are still utilizing it. So I was I'm not going to beat anything else that I do from now to the end of my career. I'm not going to be able to top that, nor am I going to try. Yeah. So I was good with letting it go. But now I have my new goals. I want to do a lot of the production stuff and see where that takes me.
Well, I've got to ask you as well, because I know we're on Zoom and we get 40 minutes, so I don't want us to get kicked off, but I've got to ask you to see, working with Scott Steiner. What was it like working with Scott? And obviously, you was there when the promo was
the Steiner Math promo.
The Steiner Maths. I mean, what was that like?
Steiner was great. I don't know why he likes me. He has that reputation of being a bully back in the WCW locker room and stuff. Like when we first met, you tried to bully me a little bit, and I was like, get out of here. Like I wasn't taking any of his crap. And then I think that just gained his respect right away. He saw that I worked out, I took care of myself, I ate nutritiously and did fancy moves like him, I guess, because he used to be the king of the, innovative moves.
Yeah.
And, I treated him with respect and he treated me with respect. And it was just a good pairing. They kind of just threw us both at the wall to see if we would stick together, and we did.
It was a good pairing. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I remember, like, I almost got fired or let go before our pairing. I know they gave me one of the Feast or Fire matches, and I won, and I said I wanted to do this Maple Leaf Muscle character, and Vince Russo wasn't buying it, but I really said, it'll work, and he said, okay, fine. So I did this, backstage promo, and then it was pre-taped, and he said to me, Petey, that was a great promo. I like where you're going with this character. He's like, however, that character that you're presenting in that promo right now, it has to transition to the ring. So I had like one shot to get it done. And so we had a 4-way match. It was myself, Scott Steiner, Road Dogg, and Chris Daniels. We were the 4 Feast or Fired winners. And I did like a little interaction with Steiner where I did his elbow drop or whatever, and I did some push-ups with them, and we just kind of had like a little moment. And when I got to the back, Russo pulled me aside and he was like, Petey, come here. And I'm like, oh no. And he said, why didn't you tell me sooner that you could do that? Oh my God, that was great out there. Blah, 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 blah. I have so much ideas for you and Steiner, all this kind of stuff. And he was just going on and on. And they said, later on down the line, I see you guys making a good team and stuff like that. Well, instantly, they had us feud for like a month or two, and then instantly we were a team. And, I did the dyed blonde hair and goatee. Like, they didn't tell me to do that stuff, but I wanted to take it that extra mile. I'm like, if I'm going to go with this, I'm going to go all in. And even with that promo that we did, the math promo with Steiner, that was, believe it or not, that was one take.
Really?
One take. Yep. And we just did it. And I remember I'm listening to his math and it makes sense at first. And then all of a sudden it doesn't make sense. And I just look right at the camera like this. I'm like, Okay, like I guess we're gonna keep rolling. So if you watch it back, at one point you just see me like look. I have sunglasses on, so you can't tell, but I literally look at the camera and like kind of shrug my shoulders, and then okay, I guess we're still going. I guess we're just gonna roll with this, right? And,
you look at the camera as if to say, "Oh, right, we're stopping there, right?"
Yeah, like I figured, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And I mean, I guess that's what people want to see. It's one of the most memorable promos, maybe the most memorable promo in Impact history. One of the most memorable promos in any wrestling company. And I thought it was gonna fail. So it just goes to show what I know. And we tried to
mainstream though. Like I've seen mainstream Facebook pages and stuff posting it as if, you know, like they're sharing it, saying like wrestler speaks about math doesn't make any sense, or crazy wrestler talks about something, and there's non-wrestling fans sharing it, finding humor in it, and I think that's awesome though, because that's surely the point of the promo in a way, like to get as much attention on it.
And I even see like a real, I saw this on social media or something where, and it was like 10 years later, where a professor, like a math professor, actually broke it down on a whiteboard of how that actually all makes sense. And I'm like, and he broke it down to make it like, and he had like the variables with Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe and Steiner Math fractions, exactly like how it's printed out. So he said, is there 41 and 2/3 Steiner winning match? And I'm like that's ridiculous. But I did hear afterwards, I don't know through who, but somebody told me that wasn't like Vince Russo wrote that promo. That's what I've heard. I don't know how true it is or whatever. Because later on, when I went back to Impact in 2017, Steiner came back for a little bit, and we wanted to have some sort of interaction. We didn't have anything written, but I had a promo, and I said, "Hey, how about Steiner busts my promo and we do something?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's perfect. You know, just so that we're not." It was more to pop us in the back rather than the fans. And he came in, and I asked, "Can you do some math?" And he's like, "Oh, well, it has to make sense." And I'm like, "Sense? Like it has to make sense?" So he came in talking about, I don't know, fractions and 2/3, whatever he talked about. And it was good. It was good. And then I asked him, "Hey, we going to Cracker Barrel?" Because, you know, the big Cracker Barrel story from when I did Colt Cabana's podcast, I talked about that and all that kind of stuff. I just want to make it all full circle after, 10 years.
I love it. It's one of those promos, like you said, whether you like it or not, it stood the test of time. One of the most spoken about promos. And when Jamie said we've got Petey Williams coming on, I was like, right, well, I've got to ask him about the X Division and his memories on that, and it's got to be the Steiner Math promo. And because I found your reaction to it so hilarious. Like, even though you're wearing sunglasses, you can still tell you're thinking, what the hell is happening? Like, is this a real promo? I absolutely love it. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than. I mean, Scott and I came really close during that time, and I saw him as recently as. Oh, where did I see him? We did the King of Trios for Chikara.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw him there. I'm trying to think of where else I saw him, but we just kind of pick up right where we left off, and I remember when I broke my orbital bone, he like in the ring, he was one of the first people to call me. I remember when he had, got messed up with one of his injuries, and I don't know, calling him. It just a lot of people are like, Scott Steiner. He's you can say what you want about him, but he's a good guy. He really is. How he is though, when you see him on TV, that's how he is though. That's how he is. But
that's not an act.
No, I mean. It's just him, and like the old cliche goes, he's him just with the volume turned all the way up. That's all he is. So, but yeah, I enjoy even when he just did that Talking Shop of Mania. I wasn't part of that. My goal is to do something with him on Talking Shop of Mania Part 3 now.
Yeah.
But I mean, who knows? I mean, obviously Steiner getting older. Don't know how much longer he has in the business. So I want to be able to do at least one more thing with him before he does hang up his boots.
That was going to be my next question. Do you reckon we'll ever see a reunion between Maple Leaf Muscle and Scott Steiner?
Well, there was one in 2019.
Yeah.
2019. It was August, like the really beginning of August, where we did it was before the King of Trios, but that was our first reunion. It was me, Jordan Grace, and Scott Steiner. And he did his promo in the ring, and about having the three of us, and he started getting into math, and he said, "Now we have 141 2/3% chance of winning," and all the people in California would love that, and that was awesome.
Awesome. Well, dude, I know the time's running out. I don't want this to cut off, so I know you don't do a lot of podcasts, but I would love you to come back because there's so much more we want to talk about with you.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Anytime, just let me know, and if I get the time set aside, we can make it happen. For those of you that are listening or watching this podcast right now, thank you for joining us. And then be sure to check out my own podcast. It's The Wrestling Perspective. Please subscribe on YouTube. We got, like I said, Darren McCarty, Jason Kendall, Dimitri Young, Lars from Rancid, and then Dennis, who's my favorite on all of them, but nobody knows who Dennis is, but he's my favorite. But yeah, check us out. Give us a follow, subscribe, whatever it is that these kids do nowadays, and then watch all our shows.
And find all the links in the description as well. So if you want to follow PT, listen to his podcast, you can find all the links below.
Hell yeah, man. But for now, we can't thank you enough, man. It's been an absolute pleasure for us. I'm Petey Williams. We are Ringsiders. Thank you, man.
Thank you.